Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Reflective Relationships. I'm here with my lovely lady Nicolle, and we thought we'd come on and just discuss what we feel the divine masculine, divine feminine means to us, and how that creates a divine union. So,
And we were talking earlier, like, what does that mean to us? And we had to be honest and say, we are still defining that individually and within our relationship. But I think that is what is allowing our relationship to have the depth and strength and commitment that it does, because we're finding individual purpose within our relationship, in each moment when we're in that moment and asking ourselves, how can I be better in this exact moment? How can I express my femininity in a way that supports his masculinity? So we are constantly defining it, but with that being like our mission or whatnot, it is what's allowing our relationship to really have some beautiful depth and
yeah, and really just experiencing the fact that like it starts on an individual level where we figure out what that means to us, what we feel that it means to us, and then playing it out in a relationship to like make it better, stronger, more conducive and copacetic for the relationship. Because what I might have thought was a divine masculine before isn't what I think it is now. I think before it was pretty hard and rigid, and now I've seen it soften throughout the years. So.
And for me, it was, emotional and needing to be taken care of. And now I see it as being steady within myself to a point where I can confidently express what it is that I need from the relationship. And then that helps him to lift up to provide that for me. But then it continues to keep getting redefined and reestablished as where we find that fulfillment within each other and ourselves.
Absolutely. So I guess maybe let's just try to define what we think the divine feminine, divine masculine is on our own individual level. So in your journey, what have you found the divine feminine to look like to you?
I would start with saying what I said a moment ago, that I feel most in tune with my divine feminine when I am speaking my truth confidently and expressing myself authentically, and allowing myself to have a creative flow that's unhinged. I'm not striving for perfectionism. I am freely expressing myself without worry or judgment from myself or others. I feel divinely feminine when I'm confident and not trying to be a way anyone thinks I'm supposed to be. Being the way that I feel is highly in tune with who I've always believed myself to be before I've ever taken on any sort of labels or conditioning. I feel divinely feminine when I am caring for others, but in a way that sees them and honors them for who they are. And when I see that within them and I'm feeling it and being in tune with it, intuitively be able to tell what someone needs, and then holding that space for them to then express and come to their own truth, not in telling them or not in like a demanding way, but holding that space where then they can come to their own awareness. I feel that's an expression of my divine femininity. When I am being nurturing to you, I feel that I'm in that alignment. especially when you're receiving of it. I think again that brings us back to what the exchange is between when, if we start to move into the divine and feminine masculine now as a partnership, that I feel in alignment with my femininity when I am offering you nurturing and softness, and you're able to receive it. And when it gets to that point where you're receiving it, I feel like I begin expressing it even more. Like as I offer it and then you receive, I start to fall even more into that femininity as it's now becoming like a alchemy between the two of us.
Sure. Well, I mean,
your turn.
Well, kind of to your point, the same thing happens for me. So in my eyes, the divine masculine creates a support system, a stability, a safety, a container of just allowing, first, I guess, myself to understand who I am, knowing my own truth, my authenticity, self-worth, self-love, non-judgment, all of those things. But then recognizing that, like, that's the container that I need to create for you, and to allow you to blossom within that. And so I guess, like I said to you earlier, that I don't necessarily know what a divine or masculine looks like, but you brought up a good point that, like, when I resonate with it, when I know that I'm in alignment with creating that safe container, or that space for expansion, both for myself and for you, is how I'm growing in it. And again, I don't know how to define it. All I know is that
you can feel it when it's happening.
I can feel it, and it's not toxic, and it's not egoic, and it's not trying to prove something. It's not, just putting my head down and ramming forward. It's actually a resonance. It's a feeling. It's a love. It's a response to almost knowing what you need in a relationship. But then in the world, it's like, what does the world need? The world doesn't need you to be a bully and an egoic man who's just like, I will conquer. It needs softness and love and compassion and understanding. And so, but on a stable ground, one that, like, I've created for myself, to say that I can offer it for you, right? So I mean, I don't necessarily know what
So being on stable ground for yourself, so then you can offer it in that partnership. And then for me, it would be having that nurturing and compassion for myself, so then I can provide it for you. So once again, going back to, you have to first be providing that for your own self, and fulfilling the role of that masculine and feminine within your own self first. I need to be stable for myself too. I can't just rely on you to be that. And you need to be nurturing and loving toward yourself. You can't just expect me to provide that. But then when we have made that balance as an individual, then we can bring it together. And then we're offering, within the exchange, I mentioned that alchemy earlier, then as that is swirling and working its magic, it is allowing us to get even stronger within that individually, because we're practicing it with each other.
Yeah, definitely. So I think that brings us into the point of divine union. And what do you feel divine union means to you?
Well, I think it goes along with us both, thinking about our own stories and how it required that time to really tune into ourselves, and having both the divine masculine and feminine within us as individuals, it's kind of like that hero's journey where we had to kind of embark on that full circle in order to then be able to come together. And then once you find that counterpart that matches you in a way that everyone's going to like express their divine feminine or masculine differently, but you find that counterpart match that mirrors you in just the right way. And then you spend your whole relationship practicing together and building that definition, just like defining your own masculine or feminine. You would do that same learning and growing within that union as well.
Yeah, I think for me, I agree with that fully. It is like your individual story, and then really starting to recognize that now that you found that within yourself, like, what are you doing it for? What are you, for me personally, it was like, we took that little time of separation, and I found what I thought was the me I was looking for. And then found myself empty on the other side of it because I didn't understand what would I be doing all this for, If there wasn't a reason to like give myself to someone else, like what was all of this safety, this container, this structure that I was building. I mean, why would I need that? I mean, it was a journey to find that in the end, without you, what was all that building for? So my idea of divine union is finding that, for me, the divine masculine within me, understanding what I knew as best to be in that moment, and then offering it to you, and then seeing the mirrors that you would reflect to me, to continue to journey into to that divine masculine with the mirror of the divine union.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost like you get to a place where you now like need that partner to hold up the mirror now. So if I had a similar situation where I was in that period of my life where I was being very independent and trying to prove like I can do this on my own. I got me, I can take care of me, I don't need anybody, I don't need a man. And it's almost so like I had to have that part of my life in order to then get to the point where now I'm saying, well, you know what, I don't need a man. I don't have to have someone to take care of me, but I want that and I choose that, and it creates a much healthier attachment where now I'm not clinging to somebody to take care of me. Clinging like you have to take care of me, you have to be there for me, you have to. It's no, I'm choosing for you to do that, and now I'm opening myself to it in a healthy way rather than an expectation. You have to do it my way, kind of thing. So it was very much a necessary journey for both of us to get to the point where now we can come together in a divine union way. And then bringing it back to like those mirrors that then we offer each other. When you go into introspection, on your own, there is so much healing that you can do, and I'm not minimizing that in any way, but there is something that a divine union offers as well, and it's about that person that you've chosen through a healthy attachment, bringing some mirrors to your face that sometimes are hard to see. There's when you're doing your own introspection, there still might be shadows that you choose not to go to, or things that you just can't see on your own because
Sure.
They've become such a pattern to you, such a normalcy to you, even though they might not be healthy. And when you find a partner that is able to hold up this mirror safely and you have built that safe relationship with them, and you have spent many moments building together a healthy communication, they will reveal some things that you never would have uncovered on your own. Maybe you would have, but I guess I can't say that for sure, but...
Well, not just the hard mirrors, too, the soft mirrors. So without a divine union, I would have just bulldozered through my life, like thinking hard, fast now was maybe more the right way to go. And the mirror of nurturing, the mirror of love and compassion and softness that you've also offered me helped me to go into the depth of what I thought was already the divine masculine wasn't quite all that it turned out to be. And now it's like understanding it in even deeper form, and I would gather that me holding more of a safe place for you to land would also give you more strength in your creative endeavors and whatever else might come from that. So it's not just like the hard mirrors. It's not always just the shadows that you didn't want to see, but also the depth that you can go in from the feminine aspect, just showing you, or just offering, for me personally, just that chance to just be so authentic that, think about some of the deep conversations we've had that took us into my childhood or your childhood, places we would have never uncovered, these spaces of where the root cause was.
Well, I guess that's what I meant by the, when we get into a tiff or a struggle or whatever it might be, and you have somebody from the outside that loves you unconditionally and wants the best for you, they are going to help reveal things that you wouldn't have maybe necessarily uncovered on your own because they're an outside perspective. But they are also bringing right back to you. They're hitting you in just the right spot. They're, like those triggers or whatever. And they are going to help you see things you probably wouldn't have uncovered because they're looking at it from a space of, you are so comfortable with yourself and who you are. And it isn't until you hit the mirror of your divine partner that you go, oh, I am that way, but I could be way better.
Yeah. And so through that communication and then also holding that space for me to come to that realization or you to come to that realization was the container that was needed to get to that space. From an outside perspective, we can always look at what's happening to somebody else and be like, why can't they see this? And I can tell you what you need to see or feel, but that's not going to change anyone ever. And so, then it becomes just communication and holding space and just allowing. How many times did I just break down after you just sat there and held space while I mentally worked through whatever it was that I was going through until I was in tears or was like, aha, or whatever it was. And so just to really point out how important it is to keep that wheel of communication open and then also not trying to tell someone what to understand about that situation, just holding that container of space.
Yeah, because I can't define divine masculine for you,
right?
And you can't define divine feminine for me. I can't tell you how to be that. I can tell you through my feminine voice what I need and the boundaries that I have, but that all has to come from my own confidence in who I am. and then come from your love for me to know how to rise as a masculine, but it has to come from you, from your own motivation, from your own core. And that to me is a divine union, when you have found that person that you're willing to work for, that you're willing to say you honor me speaking my voice, and you want to show up for it, and then vice versa.
Yeah, and I'll show up for you again and again, girl. It has been such an epic journey to just see how much over the past 10 years we've really came to our own sense of understanding who we are through those mirrors, and then who we can be as a couple, and where we want to grow from here. So I think what we're just saying here is, for couples to just ask that question to each other: what does divine feminine look like to you? What does divine masculine look like to you? And then what does the divine union ultimately look like? And just like hold that communication open to each other, right?
Yeah. And realizing that the union is a fulfillment of yourself individually, and then what are you offering your partner to fulfill within themselves as well, and seeing it as that exchange.
Yeah, so, don't be scared to talk to your partner. I find that these conversations we have, especially these raw, authentic ones like this, really help us to understand each other. And then, like, it doesn't just happen in this conversation. We'll be thinking about this for the next week or so, and probably the next few years, honestly, where we just keep diving into, like, hey, I think I can do this better for you, and I can hold more space for you here. And
these conversations become that anchor that you can keep going back to, and saying, oh yeah, this is like when we were talking about that, divine feminine, divine masculine, divine union, and remembering that conversation and referring back to it and letting it become that anchor or those roots for the tree that you're creating together.
Absolutely. Babe, I love you.
I love you.
Thank you for spending some time with us. It's always a pleasure to have you around. Always a pleasure to be in conversation with you. Have conversation, hold space for each other, love each other as deeply as possible, because the world needs more love. Until next time.
Goodbye.